I swear to God, I'm trying to make these things shorter. But welcome back. We're at part 4 of first week of May of new comics, bitches. So anyway, going back to continuing Fear Itself, the home front. So yeah, Speedball, like I said, is about to have his ass handed to him in all sorts of ways. But Miriam Sharp, picks up a shotgun that somebody, that one of the, crazed, locals has brought to kill Robbie Baldwin because he has been secretly coming there and helping people. And of course, this is just disgusting to the people of Stamford. So. And then there's this whole thing with Jimmy Woo, who is like the head of the Agents of Atlas, which is not a comic I read, so I don't really understand what's going on there. Um, I don't even know what they're really dealing with, but it does go back to Fear Itself, the prologue to Fear Itself, where it has to do with Atlanteans who have had their skin basically flayed off, and because this book that Sin has is written in Atlantean script and is actually written on Atlantean flesh. So he discovers that, and Namora, who is Atlantean, he is kind of his lover, whatever. Anyway, so there's something with that, and then there's a one-page thing that was done by Howard Chaykin about the Purple Man, or Zebediah Kilgrave, who has the he basically can control people, through they just call him the Purple Man because he's a man and he's purple, but he's a bad dude. So be on the lookout for him because he broke out of the raft after the whole Juggernaut thing. And then finally, there's a story with Liz Allen and little baby, not little baby, but young Normie. They're just going on a subway through New York, and some crazy assholes get on it, and she's trying to help them, and since they're out of their minds with fear, you get the idea. So I actually liked. I'm liking the story about Robbie, which is being done by Christos Gage, who's a very very underrated talent. I'm actually liking that story more than I thought I would because I don't really care about Speedball. I never read any issues of the New Warriors. I mean, the first time I've ever read anything with Speedball was in the Civil War. And I think maybe an issue of the Avengers here or there or something like that, maybe a long time ago. But anyway, but that's a really good arc, I think, that they've got going there because it is really centralized on just that one character. But for the rest of it, it's just kind of like, whatever. My favorite Fear Itself title this week was Fear Itself Spider-Man, #1. Because it is again centralizing on one character and his fear, and and all of these sub characters, and basically Spider-Man is he is scared to death of death. He does not want anybody to die. So he's literally just going all over the city trying to save people, but of course something this thing or that thing happens, and now Spider-Man is now being blamed again for a lot of the shit that's happening because people are losing their minds with fear. And Spider-Man seems to be at the scene of a lot of saves, and a car explodes that was going to drive into a fucking police station, and they meant to, they were trying to basically suicide bomb a gas station, and that didn't work out so well. He saves an Iranian cabbie, from basically being the victim of a hate crime. He saves a guy from killing himself, and then there's this other thing with this guy in the suburbs who's about to lose his house. So I mean, basically, it has a lot to do with economics and kind of the current state of the union, as it were. Obviously we're in hard economic times. We're in these kind of ethnically divided times. A lot of a lot of kind of xenophobia in regards to essentially non-whites. So it's a really weird time in the U.S. and I think it's a weird time all over the world. But anyway, this was a really strong issue because not only did I think it was really well done, and that was Christopher Yost who wrote this issue. He also does the lead work on, he's like the exec producer on Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which is the great new cartoon on Disney XD. He was also the lead guy on Wolverine and the X-Men cartoon, which was also a great cartoon. It's great to see Marvel really, picking up the ball here and rolling with it to get more kind of, kid-friendly but still adult-friendly stories out there. But he just did a really good job of, crystallizing this world that Spider-Man is in, and also reintroducing kind of almost kind of a fan favorite character, which is that of the character of Vermin, who we last really saw, I think, centralized, at least in a major way, in the famous storyline of Fearful Symmetry or Kraven's Last Hunt, which, in my opinion, prior to Dan Slott's run on Amazing Spider-Man, was the best Spider-Man work I had ever read. It was the most literary, it was the darkest, it was, it just was done extremely well. It's the only Spider-Man trade that I have that I really covet. So anyway, that's actually one of the Fear Itself releases this week that I would recommend. So moving on, we've got Secret Six, number 33. Again, I love Gail Simone so much. She's just, she's so twisted and so nightmarishly screwed up, and she's just awesome. I love her so much. And basically there is, because they're in hell. They're literally in hell. They're still alive, but they're in hell. And I'm not going to get into too many of the particulars here, because it's just so epically disturbing and fucked up and wonderful. As usual, the art is brilliant. As usual, the writing, Secret Six, probably up there in the top 3 of ongoing DC series that I'm reading right now. I couldn't really rank some of the other ones right now, but because I do seem to be, I try to spend my time evenly between at least the 2 majors. I do seem to get a lot more Marvel than I do DC. I'd like to change that if more, if DC started coming out with more stuff that I really wanted to read. But anyway. Seriously, it's just so awesome, and then of course the ending is just, it's absolutely killer. It's the finale to this particular arc, in a way, but the darkest house. But what does one really do when you're put in a situation of what Scandal Savage has been put in? Of course, it's always fun to see Etrigan. Always, it's even more fun to see him written really well, because people who I always thought, honestly, I think the best person to ever write him was Alan Moore. Just the way that he could rhyme, just the rhymes that he formed for him. Alan Grant also did a really good job on him, but Gail Simone definitely is rocking the Etrigan in a big way. So. We're going to be back in just a few moments with our book of the week, so stay tuned for part 4.